Federal government's resolve to uphold the principles of transparency is yielding results. This is coming from President Muhammadu Buhari.
We're going to meet with the minister, with the WHO, and all other partners so that we strategize again and make sure that all children that are being liberated from these areas are properly immunized.
Nigeria's effort at attaining a polio-free status suffers setback. And electoral law violations. National Human Rights Commission indicts 118 individuals and institutions. Thanks for joining us on the Network News tonight. My name is Ronke Kolawole. The federal government has stressed the need to increase Nigeria's contraceptive prevalence rate from 15.1% to 35% by 2018, as plans are underway to make family planning a national policy. At a two-day National Family Planning Consultative meeting in Abuja, the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, described a family planning as a core strategy for poverty reduction. Aisha Ubali reports.
This is a meeting of key players in the health sector, traditional rulers as well as religious leaders, organized by the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA. It is a collaboration between the UNFPA and the Ministry of Health to ensure a reversal in the current trend in maternal mortality and its prevalence through family planning, in addition to tackling poverty through girl-child empowerment.
Timely access to high-quality emergency obstetric and newborn care, and, very importantly, access to family planning services and education.
We must respect leadership. Government is the most important leadership. Let's work with government. Let's make sure that the resources we bring to the table speak to government, and let government determine where these resources should go.
With 111 women dying every day from pregnancy complications, religious and traditional leaders agree that this trend is unacceptable, especially since most of these deaths can be prevented. Development partners such as USAID and DFID and others also promised the government of support in building an equitable, sustainable society. They also made a case for practical investment in the girl child by government so as to give girls and women access to reproductive health care and information for better reproductive choices. In Abuja, Aisha Ubali, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari says the unshakable resolve by his administration to uphold the principles of transparency and accountability in response to the severe shortage of resources is serving the country in good stead. The president stated this while receiving the executive director of the United Nations Population Fund, Professor Babatunde Oshotimei, who called on him. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Recalling that crude oil, which sold for over $100 per barrel before he came to power and now crashed to less than $40, President Muhammadu Buhari was emphatic that it has been a very difficult time for Nigeria. He, however, said the administration's commitment to transparency and accountability is a deliberate attempt to make up for the severe shortage of resources. While thanking the UNFPA for its commitment to saving lives in Nigeria, especially women and children, the president asked the UN agency to bear with Nigeria in whichever way the country could not live up to its responsibilities for now. Population explosion and cultural practices in Nigeria, President Buhari said, provide a fertile ground for research to UNFPA and other similar organizations. On food sufficiency, the Nigerian leader said reports from the Northeast are now encouraging as people are returning to their farmlands with a guarantee of relative security. The executive director of the UNFPA, Professor Babatunde Oshotimei, restated the commitment of the UN agency to promoting healthcare in Nigeria. He, however, made a case for more attention to the provision of health facilities towards enhancing accessibility as well as human resources to man them. Professor Oshotimei, who is Nigeria's former Minister of Health, pledged that the United Nations will work with the country towards providing humanitarian assistance to the Northeast and the Lake Chad Basin. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka. Details of their discussions held behind closed doors were not made public, and Professor Soyinka declined comments. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
With 2 years of Nigeria celebrating a halt in polio virus transmission, the news of incidents of polio in 2 local government areas of Borno State, Jere and Goza, has come as a surprise. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewole, and the Borno State Commissioner of Health, Haruna Michelia, both reacted to this in a short interview with health correspondents at the State House.
Will also involve the whole state very soon. But like I said, we're going to meet with the minister, with the WHO and all other partners so that we strategize again and make sure that all children that are being liberated from these areas are properly immunized.
We have the development. It has set us back, but I can assure the nation that we will do everything possible to get on top of the situation. We are meeting again today. We had a meeting yesterday evening to look at the situation. We are drawing up an emergency plan, and in the next 48 hours we are dispersing a team there, and we are going to start immunization. We will do 3 rounds of special immunization campaign to make sure that we contain the situation. One is from Goza, which is actually close to the border, and the other one is Jere. We suspect that both of them are linked to the insurgent enclaves. We were expecting nutrition and a few other problems, but we have this. As a nation, we will rise up to the challenge. We are assured by our international partners, and we will mount a robust response.
The unusual circumstance occasioned by insurgency in the area might have led health officials to anticipate some public health challenges, but the minister said the government did not envisage polio, and immunization is to commence immediately in the affected areas. The commissioner said total coverage will soon begin as the state government and relevant partners are meeting to strategize on how to prevent the spread. And still talking health, Nigeria and the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, have resolved to make concerted efforts towards enhancing youth education, culture of peace, and safe school initiative. This is in response to the devastating consequences of terrorism and insurgency on the civil populace. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports on the meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and the visiting Director General of UNESCO, Irina Bokova.
In a joint communique signed by Education Minister Adamu Adamu and the Director General of UNESCO, Irina Bokova, Nigeria and the UN organ agreed to a multifaceted approach and concerted actions in response to the devastating consequences of the current situation in the Sahel region, especially terrorism on the civilian population. They therefore resolved to take further their strong and constructive cooperation on, among others, the implementation of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, as well as the proposed launch of a new phase of the Nigeria-UNESCO Plan of Cooperation on the reconstruction of the education system in the Northeast.
There is a fast agenda in front of us to work, and UNESCO is more than happy and privileged to deepen the cooperation between this great country and UNESCO, and to accompany the government, the president, also in the implementation of his vision for change Nigeria, and in order to implement the Sustainable Development Goals.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who led 7 ministers to the interactive session, expressed serious concern over the threat of extinction being faced by Lake Chad arising from the effect of climate change. He warned that unless urgent steps are taken by the international community to regenerate the lake, those living in the region now suffering untold hardship will be forced to dare the desert to migrate and create more problems for them. Nigeria, the president said, does not have the billions of dollars required to channel water from the Congo River into the lake to check its rapid depletion, and solicited the support of the developed countries in mobilizing resources and technology towards saving the lake. He commended UNESCO's support to Nigeria in respect of the ongoing rehabilitation work in the northeast and the reintegration of the internally displaced persons. The Director General of UNESCO, Mrs. Bokova, said her visit to Nigeria is to strengthen the organization's programs in the areas of science and technology, gender and youth development, culture, water resources development, as well as health and environment.
We spoke, of course, about the challenges of economic growth, diversifying the economy, competencies, technical vocational training, the role of the higher education, the challenges of Lake Chad, and I supported the initiative of the Minister of Water Cooperation to hold an international conference. UNESCO has been involved for a long time. I personally have been 4 years ago crossed on a boat Lake Chad, and I saw what are the challenges of the local communities. It's not only an ecological catastrophe, but it is also concerns the livelihoods of millions of people.
Mrs. Bokova is on a week-long visit to West and Central Africa. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And still on education, the Director General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Irina Bokova, has challenged Nigeria to embrace the organization's new humanitarian approach as a guide in our quest for human development, social inclusion, and the fight against extremism. She stated this during a visit to the Ministry of Education, as reported by Franca Uzoma Oloa.
As one of the credible UN organizations, UNESCO has the responsibility to educate people, preserve their culture, promote gender equality and climate change. Its Director General, Irina Bokova, says the organization currently lays more emphasis on quality education and inclusiveness in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 4.
I know also that Nigeria and your government is putting a strong emphasis on the new technologies.
Education Minister Adamu reiterates Nigeria's commitment to deepen her relationship with UNESCO.
Peace in the world will not be established by the gun. It will only be established by discovery and respect of cultures.
The National Open University of Nigeria, NOUN, is collaborating with UNESCO in the area of open education resource.
So the idea behind OER is to generate a knowledge base so that people become more and more educated, and all of it is supported by UNESCO.
To ensure the resuscitation of not only those 4 or 5 chairs that we lost recently, but to look for more chairs in different areas to go and be cited in different universities in this country.
This is the 3rd official visit of Irina Bokova to Nigeria as Director General of UNESCO. Franca Uzoma Olwa, NTA News.
Thank you, Franca. And to some other issues now. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, has assured the Nigerian business community of government's determination to tackle various bottlenecks impeding the ease of doing business in the country. He gave this assurance when he met with some members of the organized private sector at the 2016 Presidential Policy Dialogue in Lagos. Amechi Pius has the details.
The forum provided participants drawn from various sectors of the economy an opportunity to have an insight into various government policies. The myriad of problems presented to the Vice President by some captain of industries include inflation, depreciating value of the naira, insecurity, and absence of critical infrastructure such as power, all of which, they explained, have negatively affected the ease of doing business in the country. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, while responding, pointed out clearly that government is aware of these challenges and will continue to dialogue with the private sector to address them.
These challenges are significant, but the opportunities to get it right are even more significant. For us, focus, steadfastness, and consistency are crucial.
Apart from reducing fiscal and foreign exchange imbalances, the Vice President expressed government's determination to curb inflation, lower interest rate and ensure lending to the real sector, as well as promote viable public-private partnership to increase foreign direct investment into the country.
I believe that the foreign exchange market will stabilize, confidence will be restored, and that there will be an increase in the supply of foreign exchange, especially due to inward investments and increased receipts from non-oil exports. We've also pledged to keep capital spending in the budget at a minimum of 30%. This is a target that we're determined to keep, since it is investment that grows an economy. Accordingly, we've already made capital releases of 332 billion naira, which is more than the entire amount of capital released last year, with another 100 billion naira set to be released in the next few days.
Chairman at the occasion, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, described such dialogue as critical to the effective implementation of government's policies. Some participants who spoke to NTA News at the end of the session say they are optimistic.
We are the people that are going to implement those policies together with government. We are the actors, so there is nobody that is coming from moon. All of us here are the people that are going to do it.
I think the current administration should give you a bit more time. I mean, you cannot solve a problem that has been there in the last, in the last couple of years overnight.
The 2016 Presidential Policy Dialogue was organized by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. In Lagos, Amechi Pius, NTA News.
And from Lagos, we now go straight to the National Assembly, where the Speaker, House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, says no member of the National Assembly can be investigated or charged to court for carrying out his or her constitutional duties. He said this at a civil society dialogue on 1 year of the House of Representatives legislative agenda organized by Policy and Legislative Advocacy Center. National Assembly correspondent Ignicio Sunko reports.
Speaker Yakubu Dogara Powers and Privileges Act, no member of the legislature can be charged to court for performing his constitutional duties.
The Constitution is emphatically clear. It talks about the budget, the president preparing or causing to be prepared the annual expenditure, estimates of expenditure and revenue, which will be laid before each of the houses of the National Assembly. It doesn't talk about budget. Estimates.
The Speaker implored civil society organizations and indeed all Nigerians to acquaint themselves with the provisions of the Constitution, especially the section that provides for the powers of the legislature in budget consideration.
And that is in order to give independence to the legislature. If the legislature is not independent, we can't do anything. If whatever you say on the floor or before a committee or whatever you communicate is subject to litigation, then all the members will be in court.
Speaker Yakubu Dogara said one of the responsibilities of legislators globally is to attract federal presence to their constituencies. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And away from the National Assembly, the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, has called on tourism practitioners in the country to embrace the current efforts towards raising Nigeria's image abroad. The minister made the call while interacting with executive members of the association in Abuja. Anthony Forsen again reports.
The minister, who briefed members of the association about federal government's determination to grow the sector, equally intimated them of the United Nations World Tourism Organization's pledge to support Nigeria.
They have agreed to help us review our master plan on tourism. And they promised us that if we give them enough notice of the first meeting of the PCT, they are going to arrange a world international conference on tourism in Maiduguri, and the theme will be tourism as a tool for peace and reconciliation.
He said the negative perception about tourism must change, hence the need for the practitioners to engage in those things that promotes the image of the country.
And here again, I want to appeal to the media too. You do not need to spread news about Nigeria that is going to hurt tourism.
National President of the Association, Kabir Malang, commended the minister for the giant strides taken so far in making tourism vibrant. He pledged the association's desire to work in partnership with the ministry. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And still with the information sector, the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, has been commended for the professional manner in which it propagates the policies and programs of the federal government. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, gave the commendation when he granted audience to the management of NTA, led by the Director General, Malam Yakubu Ibn Mohammed. Omini Oden has the report.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation was particular about the level playing field NTA gives to key actors in the governance process, especially the political parties.
You must balance your reports despite that you are a government-owned organization. I believe this is what good journalism is all about.
He urged NTA to initiate programs that will further give in-depth analysis to what government is doing for Nigerians, especially in its core policy thrust areas of anti-corruption, the economy, and national security.
We are also aware of the remarkable progress that government has made in all three areas. However, Nigerians need to be carried along. They need to be told.
While acknowledging the fact that the NTA faces a dearth of facilities, he assured the management of government continued support to enable Africa's largest television network function effectively in the service of the federal government and the generality of Nigerians. NTA's Director General, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, said he led management to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to assure him that NTA is in tune with the change agenda of the present administration.
We are now shifting the focus to other areas. For example, the need for Nigerians to believe in Nigeria, the need for Nigerians to embrace the concept of change. This does not, of course, mean that we have relegated the issue of security to the background, but side by side with the need for Nigerians to be alert and security conscious, we feel it's about time we started reminding Nigerians of the need to believe in Nigeria, to believe in the concept of change, to embrace the concept of change, to patronize made in Nigeria goods.
The Director General solicited more assistance to the NTA to surmount its operational challenges in terms of facilities in its over 100 stations nationwide if the organization must sustain its 24-hour uninterrupted service to the people. Omini Udan, NTA News.
And taking on some security matters now, the current threat to peace in parts of Plateau State is a wake-up call stimulating improved synergy for collaboration between security operatives and traditional rulers to curtail the situation. This followed the operational visit of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, to the state. Defense correspondent Mohammed Abdul Kadri reports.
Visit of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, to units and formations of the Nigerian Army and the palace of the traditional rulers in Jos and Shendam was strategic to the search for enduring peace in Plateau. The recent ambush and killing of a first-class chief in Bokos local government, Da Lazarus Agai, by unknown gunmen remains a matter of serious concern to government, people and security operatives.
Is that all the security agencies to please ensure that the perpetrators are fished out and made to face the law accordingly.
We are already working in synergy with other security agencies, the police, the Department of State Security, to ensure that our societies are, safe.
The security forces closed rank with the army boss to improve on joint operations and unravel the killings. At the 332 Artillery Regiment, officers and soldiers were told to maintain robust alertness and readiness to deliver on their mandate in the general area. From 332 Artillery Regiment, Sendam, Plateau State, Muhammad Abdel Kadri, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigerian Army has court-martialed 4 officers and 16 other ranks for various offenses committed within the theater of Operation Lafia Dole. Memuna Garuba has the report.
The inauguration of the General Court-Martial followed a directive from the Army headquarters that a standing General Court-Martial be set up for Operation Lafia Dole to try offenses committed by personnel within the theater. It is also aimed at instilling discipline, the bedrock of the military profession, and ensure justice. Acting General Officer Commanding 7th Division, Brigadier General Victor Ezoku, while inaugurating the General Court-Martial, urged both the prosecution and the accused persons or their counsels to shun all forms of antics, such as requests for frivolous adjournments to avoid unnecessary delays in the trial processes.
Some of them have committed offenses that have to do with selling of ammunition, and some of them are involved in some other behaviors that is contrary to the ethics of professional conduct of officers and soldiers during operations like this. And those of them that are weighty in nature are the ones who have referred for court-martial.
Brigadier General Olusegun Gabriel Adeni is the president of the General Court-Martial, and Major Yahaya Galadima is the judge advocate. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA.
On their power consumption by more than 70% if they embrace alternative energy devices. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Omatech, Florence Seriki, stated this during a presentation she made to the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. Anthony Fulson reports.
Florence Seriki, whose presentation was tied around ICT and energy, told the Information and Culture Minister that Nigerians can reduce their power consumption if they embark on attitude modification and embrace modern energy-saving appliances.
Once you reduce your consumption, I mean, if you are to use 100 kVA and you reduce it to 25, so the solar you are buying is for 25 kVA, not for 100 kVA. That's why our own concept is to drop consumption first.
Taking the minister through the modern appliances that are in use around the world, she said Nigerians cannot be left behind given the power challenge the country is facing. She said the way out is for households, industries and government agencies to embrace these appliances if they must operate optimally. Responding, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed expressed satisfaction with the alternative energy presentation, assuring that the federal government will come up with plans to partner with Omatech in a bid to addressing the energy needs of Nigerians.
Because I look at this far beyond even just saving power. Look at it from the employment generation angle, the artisans. Look at it from the viewpoint of those in the creative industry. Look at it from the viewpoint of the hairdressers, the vulcanizers. And you see, these are people who, just because of lack of power, all their skills, their training have been rendered useless. But if these things are rightly priced, I did not see any reason why, you cannot rejuvenate the economy, through it. Please.
The minister reiterated the federal government's desire to ease the hardship the citizens are facing, saying the alternative energy appliances will in no small way reduce the burden of energy challenges on the citizens. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Remember that you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Ahead on the news tonight, Japan-African Business Conference to hold for the first time on African soil. Details when we return. Just stay with us.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, Only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Get ready to move on up with EcoBank. Easy access to your account wherever you are in the world. More ATMs across Africa than any other bank, so there's always one closer to you. The freedom to pay with a card instead of cash. To bank with your mobile anytime, anywhere. Or send money thousands of miles in a flash. Plus, smart ways to save and invest so your children can move on up too. And trust EcoBank to help with the things that matter most. Visit us online today and move on up with EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
Chief, I agree. Every family must send a representative for vigilante.
Instrumental Sergeant, we are finished.
Chief, now we go take escape now.
No way to escape. The problem is how you go fit dodge the surround of the flood water.
Line Sergeant on a flood water.
Chief,
Wallahi, flood don't finish up with everything but my house, wallahi.
Ayua, a sticker does not choke a man into twice in one ice. The damn people NEMA, National Emergency Management Agency, had repeated warning upon on top of warning. Never you build a house upon on top of track road of flood to securize your life and property. Avoid the true way of dirty in gutter and waterways to avoid blockage. Join hands today in the clear of dirty in gutters and drainages. If you are living in a house in waterway, once it's a rainy season, pack out to upland to securize your life. A stick in hand, a service number.
This message is from National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and Presidential Committee on Flood and Rehabilitation.
It's truck month at Ford, and we've got a Ranger just for you, Vincent. Here's the Workhorse 2.5 petrol single cab with free Ford Protect, a 4-year, 120,000-kilometer service plan. Or the 2.5 petrol-based double cab with 800mm water wading capability, available in manual transmission and with free Ford Protect. So while stocks last, visit Coscharis Motors today. Because, wait for it, thanks Vincent, we've got a tough Ford Ranger just for you.
Xiaomi M5 Plus with a 50-20 milliampere battery that lets you play for up to 3 days on a single charge. Xiaomi M5 Plus, always in power.
My father said opportunity knocks every minute. He used to say to me that even the rising sun is an opportunity. A man must give each day everything. I live by those words. Just 1 minute of one day can change everything. Every day he stepped out with the belief that today might just be that day.
At FCMB, we believe every day is a new opportunity. Let's help you step forward and take it. FCMB, my bank and I.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
Glad to know you're still watching NTA Network News. The Electoral Accountability Project, organized by the National Human Rights Commission, recorded 118 indictments in Phase 1 of its report. Lydia Abbas reports that the Executive Secretary, Professor Bem Anwe, presented the report to the public in Abuja.
The 284-page report dwelt on review of evidence of gross violations of the rights to participate in government, to public service, and to fair trial through the election petition process during the 2007 and 2011 election cycles in Nigeria. Professor Bem Anwe said the report will be sent to the Attorney General of the Federation and State Attorneys General.
The National Human Rights Commission has since constituted and inaugurated a special investigation panel to investigate publicly those who have been alleged to have been involved in hate speeches and electoral violence during the 2015 elections and the subsequent elections that followed.
Chairman Public Complaints Commission Emmanuel Ogbile and other dignitaries commended the initiative towards ending electoral impunity in Nigeria.
Even the way impunity has been placed today, it's been underplayed. It is the main problem facing the electoral process in Nigeria.
The 7-man technical working group with its chairman, Professor Nsongurua Udombana, in his presentation said the initial challenge encountered was having access to comprehensive election petition cases. Lydia Bassi, NTA News.
And now talking politics, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has assured aspirants to the various elective offices of a level playing field at the party's national convention in Port Harcourt next week. Chairman of the party's Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibril, gave the assurance at a media briefing in Abuja. Abdullahi Garba Breni Kudu has the details.
Given an update on the current reconciliation efforts by the Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibril said progress has been made.
That things are going in the best possible way of settlement. And the party is going to be revived. The party is going to be one entity without any problem that we used to be before.
Meanwhile, the party's temporary secretariat is a beehive of activities as aspirants continue to pick nomination forms for the 21 elective positions. Notable among them are Chief Raymond Depesi, Olabode George, Jimmy Abaje for national chairman.
I have paid my dues in this party. Since 1998, I had been, never left the party for anywhere.
My mission is to serve the party, is to return the party to the vision of the founding fathers.
Also in the race is Mr. George Turner for the office of Deputy National Chairman 1.
We will preach the gospel of putting every personal interest behind us and pursue a common goal.
The convention is slated for Wednesday next week. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Brununkudu, NTA News.
And from politics, we go to labor issues. Representatives of banks have assured the federal government of amicable resolution of the alleged unfair labor practices contained in petitions against them by the unions in the banking and insurance sectors. The assurance came at the ongoing meeting organized by the Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige, with the unions and financial sector regulatory agencies. Labor correspondent Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
if a bank is convicted and fined serially by the National Industrial Court, I can take a memo to council for a repeal of license.
The Labour Minister reminded them that Nigeria is a signatory to many ILO conventions on social dialogue, fair labour practices, decent job agenda, and the right of workers to unionize, which is also contained in Nigeria's constitution. Ngige wondered if banks' legal teams have ever drawn the attention of their employers to those conventions, which, if not adhered to, can attract international labour sanctions against Nigeria. Representatives of the CBN, NDIC, and banks' executives praised the ongoing dialogue to resolve contending issues in the banking sector.
We will engage, we will discuss and find solutions that satisfy everybody.
Ngige urged banks to make sacrifices in the face of the current economic hardship. In Abuja, Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Guests on NTA's current affairs program Movement for Thought advocating equity and reward system to attain good governance and fast-track development.
Singapore can borrow a leaf. Yes. From what happened there, where we are, where we were, and where we are going. Yes. We don't want to regionalize what all these other leaders are saying, that we should do what they call true federalism, total restructuring is for the West to be regionalized, the East, the North, and the Light. No. What we need is that the interest of these kind of people should be synergized.
Movement for Thought comes up tonight at 10:30 p.m. on NTA Network Service. Jennifer in our Lagos Network Center has the next story. Hello, Jennifer.
Thank you, Ronke, and welcome to Lagos. Our story is on the House Committee on Banking's visit to the CBN. The Central Bank of Nigeria has been advised to strengthen its supervision of the banking system with a view to ending insider abuse and mitigate the cases of bad loans. House Committee Chairman on Banking and Currency, Jones Onyereri, gave this advice while briefing the media at the end of the committee's inspection of the Apex Bank's facilities in Lagos. Abdullahi Mohammed reports.
The House Committee Chairman emphasized that the facility inspection was to ensure prudent management of public funds and perfect the measures adopted in salvaging Nigeria from the current economic downturn. He said his committee is optimistic that the exchange policy is right, stressing that the Apex Bank must strengthen its supervision of banks to reduce the cases of non-performing loans as well as abuse of the rights of the consumer.
Because we have had reports of some infractions, especially with respect with transactions with depositors, bank transactions with depositors, and we felt that they should also look at it in order to put a stop to whatever infractions there are.
The House Committee Chairman also expressed his concern over high interest rates and the need to provide affordable credit facility to the real sector of the economy.
For us, we were looking at the bigger picture of still trying to grow the SMEs, and we felt that the only way you can grow the SMEs would be to make credit accessible to them. But making credit accessible to them would not work out with very high interest rates.
The visit is part of the committee's oversight function and is coming on the heels of a retreat with the top management of the Apex Bank in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. In Lagos, Abdullah Mohammed.
Now you're just watching NTA Network News from the Lagos Network Center. It's time to take some messages. The news continues shortly. Stay tuned.
Introducing new Dettol multi-surface cleaner for a healthy home. Some cleaners don't kill germs, others kill germs but don't clean properly. New Dettol multi-surface cleaner gives you 10 times better germ kill, 10 times better cleaning, and all-day freshness for a healthy home.
Germs, oil, and dirt cause blemishes and uneven skin tone. You need Dettol Even Tone. It removes 99.9% of germs and is formulated to remove excess oil and dirt, helping to reduce blemishes. New Dettol Even Tone.
I recently started using Nigerian Pampers and it's been wonderful.
It's way better and lighter.
She's been wearing this for about 8 hours now, and as you can see, it's really dry.
More baby friendly. It absorbs way better than it used to.
I tried it all through the night. She used it. Even when I woke up this morning, it was not that heavy.
Your baby is happy. Your baby is comfortable.
This new Nigeria Pampers, I will go for it.
Xiaomi M5 Plus with a 50-20 milliampere battery that lets you play for up to 3 days on a single charge. Xiaomi M5 Plus, always in power.
Across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country, the Future Assured Project, an initiative of Her Excellency, wife of the President Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is restoring hope to millions of Nigerian women and children.
Future Assured, assuring the lives of women and children.
For women and children, great future starts today and now.
Future Assured, the progressive future for women and children.
Supports the Future Assured initiative. Email programs@futureassured.org.ng.
Future Assured is about our generation.
Future Assured for you and I. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
And talking business, the Food and Agriculture Organization Food Price Index shows modest decline in international prices for major food commodities in July. Sheon Ogunluyi has details on Business News Package.
All right, time now to look at developments in the world of business. International prices for major food commodities saw a modest decline in July, following 5 consecutive months of increases. The FAO Food Price Index, FPI, averaged 161.9 points in July 2016, slipping 0.8%. That is 1.3 points below its level in June and 1.4% below its level of July 2015. This was, however, not reflective of the situation in Nigeria, with the prices of some grain crops such as rice rising significantly, as did the price of garri. The rise in the prices of food witnessed in Nigeria was, however, attributed by experts to the overall macroeconomic condition in the country. South Africa has overtaken Nigeria as Africa's biggest economy in dollar terms. Bloomberg reports that a change in status of both countries was attributed to the appreciation of the rand, South Africa's currency, and the devaluation of the Nigerian naira. Nigerian government, through its Apex Bank, Central Bank of Nigeria, recently introduced a flexible foreign exchange regime using the gross domestic product, GDP, at the end of 2015, published by the International Monetary Fund. Bloomberg reported that the size of South Africa's economy was $301 billion at the rand's current exchange rate, while Nigeria's GDP was put at $296 billion. The report stated that the rand has gained more than 16% against the US currency since the start of 2016, while in contrast, Nigeria's naira has lost more than a third of its value. Despite the statistics, both countries are still at the risk of recession, having contracted in the first quarter of the year. Nigeria's economy shrunk by 0.4%, while South Africa's GDP contracted by 0.2%. And that's the package on Business News for now. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Sheon. And now to some other issues. Nigeria is on the verge of enhancing bilateral relations with Japan away from reliance on aid to trade and from debt to investments. To this end, the Japan-African Business Conference is for the first time to hold on African soil as part of deliberate efforts to entrench principles of African ownership and international partnership. Ifeanyi Okafor has details.
Japan's cooperation with Nigeria seems to have grown exponentially with the emergence of democratic governance and with the reforms in the economic, financial and investment sectors. This interactive session, which heralds the Japan-Africa Business Conference, aims at facilitating international business partnership towards developing key infrastructure, healthcare delivery, agriculture, education and human capacity development, with Nigeria as the focal point for the African continent.
Nigeria is now facing financial difficulty, mainly due to a drastic drop of oil price. Diversification of economy is a really urgent agenda for Nigeria.
The Tokyo International Conference on African Development is aligning with the African agenda through engagements with governments, international, regional, and civil society organizations.
Our governments have to pay closer attention to what is going on so that whatever it is these people have, we can learn from them.
Japan's official development assistance to Nigeria totals 149.6 billion naira on loans and 508.8 billion naira on grants, in addition to technical assistance of more than 28 billion naira. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Okafor, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. We have an update on the ongoing Rio Olympics after this timeout.
Even on those nights, my worries are now out of sight. So in the morning light, I always wake up bright. Knew always